Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Peace be unto you. My name is Minister Mauricelm X, your host. And we're here to talk about the king contribution and the king assassination. We're here to talk about that. And I'm very, very excited to be doing this show. I'm very, very excited to come to you in this manner to discuss things that we are up against. We are up against a lot. And the most potent weapon that we have is the truth, brothers and sisters. It always shall be, it always is. The most potent weapon that we have is truth. And we have to talk about the truth of the situation of Black leaders as they stand up for justice, righteousness. We have to talk about the truth as it relates to the Black man in America, how he got here. Many got here through the diaspora. The others were already indigenous to this land. So you have the indigenous man of Africa, the indigenous man of America, right? And what they went through. Because we know the indigenous man from Africa came here over 400,000 years ago. He came, she came, they came, and they set up a citadel here. Now, that was the last trick of individuals that came, because we have carbon data through millions of years ago that Turtle Island, which this is what Americans call, is older than that. Now, with that being said, we know that every continent was incorporated by Blacks. That goes without saying. The only invader of the continent were whites. And you have to understand that. You got to understand it. If you don't understand anything else that I say tonight, you have to understand that, because that is the premise to why they kill Black people. They can't kill the history, so they kill you physically to try to wipe you out of physical existence, but they can't knock you out of historical existence, and neither can they knock you out of spiritual existence. So they tried the faltering task, because it will fail to wipe you out physically. And we are resilient people. We are people of peace. I'm sure you would agree. And because we're resilient and because we're a people of peace, then we are able to evolve and adapt to our environment for the sake of survival. We have been surviving a long time. I'm sure you would agree that we've been surviving a long time. So this is no different. This is just another part of our survival. It's another thing that suggests that what we must do to survive is to fight. For instance, if you have a physical ailment, if anything is affecting you physically, you adapt physically to get it away from you, or you adapt physically to stop it from being a threat. So you limit the powers of the threat. You destroy the ability of the threat, so you become immune to the threat. If it's a biological threat, you use biology. A psychological threat, you use psychology. Behavioral threat, you use behavior. Right? If it's anthropological, then you have to use that. If it's archaeologically, then you have to evolve to decrease that threat on whatever level the threat is, whatever ology it is. You got to, your job is to decrease the power of that threat. That's your job. So now, in saying that, every threat, whether environmental, social, or physical, that has faced the Black man, he had to decrease the threat. Now, with his eyes wide open, with our eyes wide open, the red and Black man, because you have the same history, you're the same people, As a matter of fact, it's the red and black man who made plantations and reservations possible. Had we not sold out each other between one another and against one another, you would have never had plantation or reservations. But that's another subject for another day. But I'd like to use a piece of it for this day. In unity, there's truly strength. If the indigenous man is united, then he don't have to worry about any threat if you're united. Just like a germ. When a germ enters the body, then you have to have an antidote to outnumber the germ so they can take it over, right? You playing chess and you got a bunch of pawns out there, right? You have enough pawns and you use the pawns the right way, then you can save the king or queen. Is that right or wrong? So that they can move to limit the threat, right, of the kingdom. That's what, that's what chess is about. So we have to understand exactly what's going on. I want you to understand what's going on. So every threat that's come against us, right, at some point we've evolved to eliminate that threat. Now, let's jump ahead. Because anytime we've had a leader that is for the benefit of black people, that leader is killed. Any leader that is for the benefit of people and not power is killed. Because I'm sure you can remember, and this is down through history, no matter what the kingdom is, no matter what the continent, no matter what the ruler, you find out that kings or leaders who cared more about people than power were often killed, right? That's the whole history of Jesus. They couldn't use him as a source of power, which inevitably made him powerful. So they had to get rid of him. You have to understand that, because there are two kingdoms that exist, the kingdom of God and the kingdom of man. And man's always trying to use whatever edge he can get, or she, whatever edge that could be used to get a source of power, whether it be for individual power, for totalitarianism or dictatorship, or whether it be for mass power, such as political parties, Democrat and Republican, Federalists and Anti-Federalists, right or wrong, right? So we find ourselves again in a quagmire, because King's death is very significant, just as significant as Malcolm's death, Robert Kennedy's death, and President John F. Kennedy's death. Just as significant. You have to count it. You have to, because of the influence, not just past influence, but the present influence of the man that we're talking about. And we have to discuss the significance of this holiday, not in the sense that you think we're going to discuss it. You're going to have to put a belt on tonight and pull your pants up, because we're about to wade through the water of a murky history. See, King had two things going for him that was the greatest threat that any leader, black or white, could have. For one thing, he had support, financial support, because he comes from a wealthy black community. Wealthy black community, and a large piece of that wealth came through his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfathers. If you know anything about the Williams, they're from the political machine of Virginia. They were connected to the house slaves, connected to the owners. And if you know anything about them, then you can appreciate what I'm saying. The House of Burgess of the royals of England and their children, right? Or representatives, I'm using terms now, or senators, right? Or governors to establish states and colonies in America. This is prior to America becoming what it is today. These individuals were paid and subsidized to set up areas here. right? And this would give them a pardon from crime, or will allow them to prove themselves to come into the aristocracy of a new world funded by a governing power. In this case, England would be the governing power, supporting and financing individuals that were set up here in a new world, right, to establish mercantilism or trade, right or wrong. Same old game, controlling resources. And so what I want you to know is that all of this relied on the backs of slaves, free labor, of intelligent people out of Africa. All the sciences in Africa are the intelligent sciences. They're the first science. You would be shook up if you were to research and understand that there were computers 500,000 to 1 million years old. This is nothing new. You would be shook up to learn that King Tut had a bicycle for his leisure. You'd be shook up to understand that there were through torque power fans, cooling fans that were engine-less, right? Working by bands. The solar power that was being used. This is from a continent where white people were coming out of the caves and seeing these great inventions, so much so that they called these individuals gods because they knew how to start fires. They called them Prometheus. They gave them the name of gods, Thor, Frigidae. All of these names of the gods, they gave it to them. I want you to understand that. Hercules. All these names. I want you to understand that. You have to understand it. So these great people who were kind to mankind, there's a difference. There's a difference in mankind, man, humankind, and human. There's a big difference. The first three articles, or rather, latter articles, the humankind, and man is different from mankind. Mankind is a kind of man, and barbarous, would war with anybody. Their hand constantly against the hand of other nations. They can't help it because it's a matter of survival. I want you to understand it, and we're going to talk about King, but I'm trying to build a foundation for you. I want you to understand that when they harness your labor, they did it for a reason. It was your labor that built America, your labor that made Cotton King, your labor that made Ford the top industry of the world. As a matter of fact, George Washington Carver showed Henry Ford, how to build a conveyor belt out of a lily, flower petals. So I want you to understand what's going on. You and I, brothers and sisters, our ancestors, whether here in America to be pushed on the reservation or to be brought from Africa directly and put on the plantation, is the whole founder, are both founders of this great country called America. You're the founder, you're the creator. Slavery is the greatest stock they have to this day, because you're not free. You're not free. Many of you run around here like you're free. You got sisters that's got this, and I'm going to say this, don't get angry with me, sisters, because you got to love yourself. Right now, you hate yourself. You don't know it. And I'm talking about all the sisters, because many of you are conscious, but there's a group of you that's wearing this fake hair, wearing these fake hair on your scalp is ruining your edges, taking your hair out with that tape and stuff, glue that's on it. The whole thing is insane. It's a system of self-hate. But those that are conscious, I want to appeal to the conscious people today. And if you're not conscious, get conscious. Take the weaves out. Take the eyelashes out. Brothers, start dressing like men and stop being so soft. Get conscious. Get conscious. If you was born with a male genital, you're a man. If it's a female genital, you're a woman. Is that plain? That's simple. That's simple. But when you run the man out of the house, then you have altered, you have genetically modified the black family. My God, I wish I had a witness, brothers and sisters. I wish you were listening to me tonight. And when you came from there, you had the perfect family. In the sense of procreation, you had the perfect education, the perfect science, the perfect vocation. You built a great and prosperous nation, great and prosperous corporation. You already here when they came, and they brought some more with you. So some slaves literally came from the land, and they breeded with them and then stopped them from reading, right? Killed the parents off, breeded, raped the mother, then gave the babies to the black woman to give suck. The red man and black man is tied in the same hell together, no matter how you look. And when they finish breeding us like animals, then they turn us against one another. That's why I have no respect for the buffalo soldier. We coming on the king. Just bear with me. Bear with me. We're coming on the king. So they made you fight one another. Couldn't get you together, right? All the prophets tried. Nat Turner tried. Harriet Tubman tried. Couldn't get you together, so you had to save the ones that you could save. And those that you couldn't save would just stay in bondage. It's the same way today. Brothers and sisters that are not conscious, you can't get in contact with them mentally, psychologically, emotionally. If you can't get in contact with them socially, then you don't waste your time. You reach those that you can reach, right? Each one that could reach one will reach one and teach one. If you can reach them. Only if you can reach them. Now, in saying that, I say this, brothers and sisters. The period of anxiety will come in. Well, black folk, as a global people, began to feel the pressure. Same way you're doing today. Same way it's happening today. That's why I tell you, we're almost there. We're almost out of bondage. Almost. Just hang on. God is delivering us. He's in the storms. He's in the political systems. He's in the science systems. He's in the geological system. God is delivering us. He's speaking through the storms. God is speaking through the storms. So he's delivering us. But you was in a global quagmire, wondering what you would do. And God sent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Prior to that, he sent revolutionaries that were breaking out of the plantation. If they had to kill, they were willing to break out of the plantation because they had taken all they could take. They taken all they could take. And so they said, well, we can't totally do it that way now because we're free. We have built things. We built this country. We've got black cities across this corporation called America. So now we got to protect this. So they came together. So they came up with the most fervent. Prior to that was the Noble Drew Ali was doing the same thing. Massive people across America was doing the same thing. Organizations were coming together. These organization leaders were coming together. So you have E.C. Morris of the National Baptist Convention. You have Marcus Mosiah Garvey of the United National Improvement Association, United Negro Improvement Association. You have if you hear about the United Negro College Fund, that's where it comes from. You had Noble Drew Ali with the Moorish Science Templars. You had Marcus Mosiah Garvey, right? UNIA, we talked about that. And these will come together. You had Bishop Charles Mason of the Church of God in Christ, right? Church of God in Christ, the Kojic movement. He also started the Pentecostal movement. He also started the apostolic movement. And while individuals are coming together, you are meeting each other on each other's convention, each other's holy days, and you are making a massive move for change globally. Then there came a separation, right? They began to divide us again, put pressure out. As a matter of fact, Minister Malcolm's father was killed as they sought, because you're going to always have black folks that will go to the man and tell him what you're doing. Always got an informant. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Always. It never failed. You always got somebody running to the man because they don't get it. So when Jesus said, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do, I don't blame him. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, because I know that the people don't get it. And when you got brothers and sisters that don't understand what's going on, don't get mad at them. Just understand that they don't get it. And if they don't get it, it's not your fault. You have to move with what you got, because I want to tell you this too. If you stand up, there's a consequence. There's always a consequence. You got to accept that. You got to accept it. Now, with that being said, brothers and sisters, let's continue. So there were many being killed for standing and organizing because they knew the threat. Anytime people have come over as slaves, and in slavery, they are more are creating a better life than the master. They're still performing miracles, right? Out of nothing. They're performing miracles. Whatever master gave them, they made it better. The master gave them guts, they created chitlins. Master gave them what left over on the hog, right? The black man turned it into a pig feet, right? Gave him the feet. He turned it into pig feet. He gave him the stomach. He turned it into maws. This is how you got hog maws. This is your history. He threw the liver out. The black man washed the liver, cleaned it, and baked it over fire and began to make liverwurst. I just want you to understand. I want you to understand that you are the Christ. You are the creator. You are the builders of this planet. God created it that way. God has given you the intelligence. You just lost your way. So these leaders in front of us were helping to remind us of who we were. Minister Malcolm, Dr. King, Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, and yes, John F. Kennedy. Yeah. We have to count it because God is in control of all. Now, when you understand that you are God and you're the people of God, then you're ready. But many of you won't accept that you're God. This is the reason why you're acting like the devil. I hope you got that. I said many of you don't understand that you're God. You don't know who you are. That's why you're acting like the devil. Right? While the devil kills, steal, and destroy this earth and destroy you, the true inhabitants of this earth. If you don't hold on to God and get direction and leadership, you will be destroyed. Because God brings people together and he says, wherever there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. And in the unity, there is strength. I hope you're hearing me. I hope you're hearing me with your true mind and your true ears. I pray that the truth can be an aroma that you will smell with the freshness of the day, right? The rank of the evening and through the darkness of the night, because it will give you hope. So these leaders came to remind us. So I talked about the 4 leaders, but let's talk about Dr. King, because that's what we're here to talk about. He was a voice that could collectively spew the concerns of the people and the disgust of the people. He was a voice that says, we're not going to take this anymore. And see, I want to explain one of the reasons I have to do this that Dr. King used nonviolence. I have to explain this because if I don't, you won't know it. The reason Dr. King used nonviolence was very practical. A devil don't understand spirituality or holiness. And God was operating Dr. King to do these things so that our people would have guidance. You got to understand that we will have guidance as to where God will want us to go and how he will want us to lead his people. What would be, what is the motive? What is the goal? Now, there was a dispensation for it. There was a dispensation for it. In other words, it was only for a certain time because it was a part of the prophecy. You know, when a bully is picking on you, first thing you try is peace. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. I'm sure you understand. The first thing you try is peace. You try to be peaceful till you realize that that's not going to work anymore. You try with all your might. You say, I'm going to be peaceful. With all your might, you try to be peaceful. If he'll let you. If he'll let you, you'll try to be peaceful. But when the bully keeps picking with the person that's under their, I'm going to call it tutelage, to fight, when they keep picking with this individual or oppressing them, pretty soon the individual get tired. They begin to wonder restlessly, what do I need to do about this? Because I can't keep letting this happen. So what do I need to do? And he began to think to himself. The minute that people put so much pressure on you, you feel you have nothing to lose. It's at that point you say you're willing to die to continue, that you become powerful. Because see, death is the ultimate threat. Death is the ultimate threat that separates boys from men. Not that you want to die, but you will die if you have to. Dr. King had that kind of mindset. They were killing people. They were killing people. And he made a decision and organized amid that. Now, he was too young to understand, the ramifications of his decision until he began to accept that this decision could cost him his life. But he willingly gave it. It sounds like Jesus, don't it? All of those leaders. We're talking about Dr. King now, but shining temporary light, all of those leaders. Dr. King, Minister Malcolm, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Alfred Cleage, Khalid Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Huey Newton. The list is endless. Marcus Garvey, E.C. Morris, Noble Drew Ali. The list is endless. The list is endless. Excuse me. So he was coming into and coming from or cut from a league of men that believe in righteousness beyond money. Today, we got preachers in the pulpit. You know it. Preachers in the pulpit today, brothers and sisters, love money more than they love God. They love money too much to be free because they love money more than they love God. So they'll sacrifice the people for money. This wasn't the kind of leader. King wasn't that kind of leader. He comes from money. He didn't have to be standing up for people, but because God called him, he stood up under the cross. He stood up under the cross because God called him. And he said, I'm going to stand up for these people. Understanding the history of the contribution of the African, understanding the suffering and being frustrated as to why such a great people should suffer. That was a major weight on his shoulder. Major weight. He was so young. The first time they came to him with this, he wasn't 25. He was only 23 years of age. 23 years of age. As a matter of fact, he was at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. His baby boy was named after that church. Dexter Avenue Baptist was in Alabama. Was in Montgomery, Alabama. What a decision. What a decision to make. And I have to be honest with you, brothers and sisters. I seen that you had black, you know us, black folk fighting against him, talking about him. You had jealousy from Walter Funtroy and jealousy from, what's the other guy's name? Roy Wilkins. A lot of jealousy. A lot of jealousy. A. Philip Randolph and all these other guys that had sold their soul. Jesse Jackson. People that had sold their souls to money. See, when you love money that much, when you love money that much, you'll kill for it. Here this man is, brother, wealthy, educationally stable, decided to fight for brothers and sisters who couldn't fight for themselves, defend themselves. It's these that catch the hell. The devil will work through you to destroy these people, or you can let God come in for you to help these people. The problem we have today, brothers and sisters, is the same problem we had back then. Same problem we had in Africa that allowed invaders to come in, separate a great continent of over 600 countries. I say yes, 600, because there's a lot of them that have not yielded, would not yield to colonial power. They couldn't take them over. With that being said, these peacock dances, trying to outdo one another, makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. And the going along to get along. I want you to understand that here's a man that understood the greatness of a people, the greatness of a history, the greatness of contribution, who stood for black folks doing the best he knew how. We can criticize it. There are things that we can criticize, but I don't think you'll find any leader that you can't criticize. I don't think you'll find any leader that you can't criticize. And there are things we learn from one another. I believe that was a great lesson that King learned from Minister Malcolm and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and vice versa. And vice versa. Dr. King, realizing his mistake in integrating the black man, because that's what it was, a mistake, integrating the black man into a white society that had no desire to unite, that had no desire to share into the wealth that black people had created, no desire to make education across the board free for the children and grandchildren of the people that had built this society. The government did a system of psychological and political integration. It was a victory without, it's a victory without being a victory, in the sense that they quote unquote integrated you and I into white society, but we saw no benefits of the integration. It's the same way today. It's the same way today. They say you're free, but you don't see any proof of that freedom, because they're still killing you as you exercise the right to vote. You're still being used as a political football. So it's a victory without being a victory. You say you're free, but there's no evidence of that freedom. We have none. We have no evidence of it. And Dr. King was politically tricked, because that's what it was, politics, politically tricked into thinking that if he integrated blacks into a white society, that black folks be able to get what white folks were getting. And it was the government that manipulated him into thinking that, because in reality, when they were trying to integrate black folks into white society, the true threat was the independence of black people and black business. That was the true threat. So you didn't have to go into white society to get this. You were never intended to get it. The whole thing was just a political game to make other countries that have been criticizing us as quote unquote rulers of the free world and black folks in your own country while you're freeing others are under your bondage. So they had to do something about it. The whole thing was a political game. They never intended black folks to be free. And proof of which, if you look today, the Democrat and Republican are united on keeping the black man down. It doesn't matter whether you call yourself a black Democrat or a Republican. You are the servant of the Democrats and the Republicans. You'll never be a true leader. It's only token leadership. It's only token membership. You'll never be a true part. And it's just like the citizenship is only a token citizenship. You'll never be a true citizen of America. And we might as well tell the truth, because here we are in 2025. Is that right or wrong? 2025, and the freedom moves and the freedom rides started in 1955, right? So here we are, decades later, right? 65, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015, and 2025, right? Here we are. Do the math. Do the math. Some 70 years later, here we are. No freedom yet. No freedom yet. None whatsoever. Because you were never intended to be free. It was a political game. And when King begins to understand this, he becomes a threat. So, who was it? Muhammad Ali began to oppose the Vietnam War, right? Where they wanted him to go out there and fight and get a uniform and keep the soldiers happy while they fought other brown and dark-skinned people that was in bondage. They looked like us. He said, I'm not going to do it. So King aligned himself with him. He aligned himself with the Black Panther Party. He aligned himself with Stokely Carmichael, the Black Power units. He aligned himself with these individuals because he realized, and what? What does he say? What is the famous quote? In 1964 through 65, and right after 63, he has a nervous breakdown. He said, I've led my people into a burning house. Is that right or wrong? We have to understand what's going on, brothers and sisters. We have to understand what's going on. You can't hide it. And King's birthday is just a reminder that any black man that stands up will face death and will be killed. Now, if he's truly standing up, you got some people saying that the government's trying to kill them. Brothers and sisters, I'm a living witness. If the government want to get you, they can get you. With all the technology they got now and all the coons they got and all the sellouts and black necks they got now, right? And redneck police and black coon police that'll do evil. I'm not against police. I think police should do their job. I'm against evil rogue police that will break the law. I'm against that, but I support police. We need police. We need good ones too. As bad as this getting, you got these Democrats letting these brown people come across the border. The only reason they're doing it is because they setting you and I up for the ultimate war so we can kill our one another, right? Self-annihilation. Self-annihilation. So that he's around again. That's what he does. Plays an end against the middle. I have no problem with someone exercising their racism if that's what they want to do. My only contention is a hypocrite. And I know that white Democrats hate me as much as a white Republican. The only difference is the white Republicans is no hypocrite. At least I know what I'm dealing with. He can stay away from me and I can stay away from him, and we can work together when it's necessary, but I don't have to have you in my bed and in my kitchen and in my living room, no more than he wants me in his bed, his kitchen, or his living room. The problem with the Democrat Party, right? You have to say the white Democrat Party because that's the only color that matters. Problem with it is they'll do anything for power, tell any lie, do anything for power, and they'll lie to you. Whether it's in bed, whether it's in your kitchen or in their living room, they'll lie to you. They'll lie to you. So many of you brothers and sisters so ready to have coffee. I'm not telling you to be enemies of anyone. All I'm saying is be real. Be real. I have no problem eating breakfast with the Klan, the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, I'll eat with them. And here's the thing, because he knows what I feel about him and I know what he feels about me. Yeah, we can have a truce because we know that we're enemies. See? The racist, I know where he stands. It's the white hypocrite that I don't know anything about. The one that's steady laughing in my face. Right? And I know me and the white man agrees on this. Even the white moderator agrees with what I'm saying. They agree with it. Right? Because they don't really like playing the game. They'll play it, but they don't really like it. They don't want you dating. I don't want no black boy dating their daughters. Come on. No more than I want a white boy dating my daughter. Come on, brothers and sisters. You know I'm telling the truth. He knows it. Most of the support that I've gotten in separation of the black community to keep black folks in their area have come from people without of the community because they don't want you in their community no more than we want them in ours. And when you think of the whole community, he already knows. If I support and create some program in the black community, if I do that, I'll keep him out of my community. What's wrong with black folks dealing with black people? I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm not for integration. I've never been for integration. But I'm for truth. But I'm not for integration because I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true, so I'm not for it. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And that's not racism. You got a lot of white people running around here calling me racist. I can't be racist. I'm a black man without any power. Without any power. And if black folks were as racist or as angry as white folks say they are, there'd be no white folks left. Riddle me that. If we're so horrible and so angry and so hateful against white people, why are there so many white people in the world? The black man is not violent. The white man's history is riddled with violence. That's why the reason we're having a podcast today, his killing of Dr. King, riddled with violence. You had an American president that really wanted to do something and didn't want to fake it. He really wanted to do something because he was a sensual man. He had some sense. John F. Kennedy, they killed him in broad daylight. His brother, they killed him because the powers that be make more money with you and I at one another, right? And divide it and going along to get along, they make more money that way. They make more money that way. As long as you keep the masses in contention. That's what they do. They keep us in contention. So they give us holidays for people that they kill. King has a holiday. He was killed. You might as well call it a holy day. You might as well call it a holy day. But he was killed nonetheless. No getting around that. They assassinated him. Remember that. Let it be a reminder of what happens when you stand, and when you stand, allow it to resonate that you have to count up the cost. You have to count up the cost. It's not about you getting off of work that day or anything like that. This is this man fanning in your face that if you stand up, you'll end up like him, the same way he did on the plantation. Did God use Dr. King? Of course he did. Of course he did. Did God use Jesus? Of course he did. Listen to what I'm saying. There's no difference. That's how you know Jesus was black. The black man will stand up. Some of you say, well, John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy are white. Yeah, but they're Irish. You heard of the Irish freckles, right? Where that comes from. Right? Right? Those Irish, all white people come from black people, but these Irish direct descendants of the Welsh. Huh? Black folks, Henry of Clare, the lineage of Cleopatra. Come on, brothers and sisters. But my point is that whether you be black or white, if you stand up to amass the people for any agenda that goes against the agenda that America has set, you're in trouble. Especially as black people. Because the systems and teaching of racism is thoroughly inculcated in this country, thoroughly calculated in this country, thoroughly taught, thoroughly received psychologically, mentally, and biologically in this country. When you see the very evidence of the house slave will show you the amount of control the white man desired. He was losing power as plantation owner. He began to breed with the slave to continue his lifeline to have control of his community. So the house slave was an investment, not for during slavery, but after slavery, because they needed somebody to run the business of slavery and post-slavery. They knew it wouldn't last. They knew it wouldn't last. If they could have made slavery last, so much money in it, they would have made it last. They knew it wouldn't last. So they had to begin to create an scapegoat, an escape route, a fallout. And what happened during the Reconstruction period? They took these house slaves and put them over the system of government. It was a test run, a trial. What do you see now? You see black folks in government that is attached to the white aristocracy that run global terrorism, run the world, run the global control of the world, national control of the world. How do you think you got Barack Obama there? Uh-oh. Don't get upset, brothers and sisters. Don't get upset. I voted for him too. I'm not ashamed to say that because I wanted to see a black man in that office, but I had no delusions at all. I knew he had no power, couldn't do anything. I wasn't surprised. You can't take a black man. That's our problem. We kill our black leaders with pressures that we put on them. There's no way a black man in 8 years, and might as well say 6.5 years, because the other years are for campaign purposes. There's no way that a black man can change all and undo all the knots that the white man has put inside of this system of bondage. There's no way. But it was good just to see a black man there psychologically. Psychologically. Now, we knew that he had the intelligence. We knew that he had the intelligence, but we couldn't expect him to learn at a rate of the system and at a rate that the system was creating this bondage and the history of the creation of bondage. Because even he himself, as you remember, was in bondage in office and had over 400,000 death attempts. That's the history. That's the history of his presidency and how many people tried to come and kill him. I'm trying to reason with you, brothers and sisters. I just want to reason with you. Understand that King's holiday is a time of mourn and shame of what the government did to this man. Took his life, took him out of the life of his children. You look at all the leaders. This is Dr. King's day. I'm trying to stay on point. But when you look at all the leaders, you can understand that all of them was killed and taken away. All of them were killed and taken away. So you have to understand that. When we do these recordings, we don't do it for names and numbers. We don't do that. We know that people that will see it later, they'll tap in and they'll listen later. But the main reason for doing it is to put out information. Shout out to Samekia Tafari. Peace and love to you, sister. Assalamu alaikum. This is the chiefess. And we getting ready. Because she's gonna be down here for us to put on her show. We're gonna have a good time, a great time. As the old folks say, the red man and the black man, we say hallelujah selah. We're gonna have a hallelujah good time. When she come, this sister is the chiefess of the Katawani Nation, royal chiefess, because she also has ties with the kings of Ireland. And this is documented and noted in federal history. So we already know. We've seen it, so we're going to be happy to see her come so that we could talk to her. This sister is amazing. She's going to get a chance to talk to us. We're going to have her set up in our Black Couch series so that she'll be able to talk to you and tell you what's going on that side. And she has an amazing thing that she's going to do as far as opening up citizenship through the Katawani Nation for those African indigenous people of slavery and also of America and indigenous people of Africa that was in America that were never enslaved and the indigenous red man. To be able to fulfill your membership, right? So you'll be able to come to places where you will have teaching and training. So we're thankful. We send a shout out to Chiefess Crystal Katawani, otherwise known as Samekia Tafari. So we give honor and praise to our sister, and we look forward to seeing her. Certain honor and praise. Also, brothers and sisters, we got February coming up. And we're going to be talking about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We're going to tell the truth about the rift of the nation. We have to. Savior Day is coming. We got to talk. We got to talk because our brothers and sisters have to know the truth. We have to know the truth. Right? We have to know the truth. The truth will deliver us. The truth will set us free. It will truly set us free. So we have to know the truth. We can't spare, and that's our problem. Our problem is that we spend a lot of time sparing people. We spend so much time sparing people, not giving them the truth. The truth will make us free. It may not set us free, but it will make us free. And we got to give the truth out to brothers and sisters who are searching. They may not find this truth today, but they are searching indeed. Indeed, they're searching. Indeed, they're searching. And they'll find this truth. Because right now is a time of great building. Where we give the truth. And we can't build on a shaky foundation, right? Our foundation got to be solid. Our foundation got to be solid. And the best way to have a solid foundation is to have truth, right? And we can only use the term of building for that. So we got to build on a solid foundation. We should be back in our communities building. We can't today, brothers and sisters. We can't march down the street talking about we are making change. For what? We have community, we have children. We need to be, you've integrated the schools. You found out that that's no longer good. You can home educate your children. Educate your children at home. You can, our churches, we can turn the churches into schools. That's King's move after 65 in his writing, the book he has called Community or Chaos. He was talking about going back into the black community, reinvesting in black business, come out of integration. We've done what we needed to do. The 1964 rights law was passed, so now we come out of that. We go back to our communities, rebuild our communities, rebuild the jobs in our community, rebuild the housing, rebuilding the lending institutions in our community and banking. We rebuild these things in our community. Rebuild the relationships within our community, the parenting classes, 4-H club. Teach us how to do things. We need to rebuild these things in our community. Rebuild the churches, the religious centers, rebuild them. If the minister's not acting right, throw them out. Male or female. There shouldn't be anything called a female leader exercising leadership over a man anyway. And that's a whole nother subject. And I'm not saying it for the reason you think I'm saying it. What I'm saying is, I'm saying it because many of the individuals standing are not standing in righteousness. They're not standing in truth. They're not standing in holiness. They're not standing in respect of the order of God. And they're leading people in chaos. Leading people in chaos. But if a sister is standing right, I say support her. Support her if she's standing right. Support her if she loves the black community. Support her if she believes in the unity of black men and black women and the respectability of black children. Support her. If she believes in marriage, support her. Because she's building up the community. She's not against you. She's building it up. But don't support anyone, regardless of who they are, that is tearing down the black community. Brothers and sisters, we can't afford it. We can't afford to be fighting against one another. We just can't do it. So we've got to be wise. We got to be steadfast. We got to be unmovable and always abounding in the truth. The truth that builds up the black man and the black woman and the black child. The true Trinity. The true Trinity. The black man, the black woman, and the black child. That's going to teach unity, fortitude, peace, and all-out fealty to the black nation, no matter where that nation is. Because wherever we are, we can be united. Today, we don't even have to get in our car and drive to each other's home. We can use our telephones or we can use the web, right? And communicate with one another. We can have conference calls today and communicate with one another. So we don't even have to worry about that. But it's good to physically see one another because these systems that you see today are not going to last. The internet that you see today is not going to last. So you're going to have some intelligence. Some meetings are not meant for the internet. I hope you're hearing me, brothers and sisters. Some meetings are not meant for the internet because you're exposing everything that you're doing. Anytime a camera can come on it, it can be exposed and recorded. But some meetings you have to have amongst one another. You got to have some meetings amongst one another to talk with family, your brothers and your sisters. So I'm saying right now, my brothers and my sisters are white. Well, they may be they may be friendly as brothers and sisters, but they're not your true brothers and sisters. Because being a friend and being friendly are two different things. And maturity will tell us that. And we have to continue on the trek of spiritual maturity, political maturity, and social maturity, psychological maturity. We have to continue in the area of maturity and have some understanding. We've got to have some understanding. And that's what I desire to give you this evening. And some of you will see it tomorrow. Some of you will see it this year. And some will see it next year, 10 years from now. But that you've got to wake up. You've got to wake up. You got to. Too many of you, brothers and sisters, have destroyed families. Not on your own. You've been taught that. And you wake up 40s, 50s, 60s and realize, man, I let a good one go. And I was busy fighting this man or busy fighting this woman when I should have been working with them, because when you have that experience with a real bad person, then you know when you lost somebody good. That shouldn't be a single black woman or single black man in the black community, because we all need someone. I mean, to be together for life so you can learn one another when you understand the power of the black family. And if you made a mistake, that's okay. You got, as long as you're alive, you got a chance to get it right. You got a chance to get it right. I don't know if you'll be able to get back with the person that you were with. I pray that you are. I pray that you are, because anytime you produce children, you should be together. I believe that. But just in case you're not, still be the best friend that woman or man can have and create the best relationship for the children that you produce together. That you still owe an obligation to that individual, a lifetime. Right? That the word of God will be fulfilled, that what God has put together, let no man put asunder. If you really, really understand that quote, then you understand what I'm saying. If you understand it. But many of us do things that we don't understand. There's so much that we don't understand. Brothers and sisters, if we would follow God's way, if we will follow God's law, God will fix us. If we would get on God's side, God will be on our side. If we would only get on his side. It's us. We have to get on God's side. We have to put our hands in God's hand. We got to put our hand, as the old folks said, to the grinding chain. Right? God don't let go our hand. It's us to take our hands out of the hand of God. Is that right or wrong? And our answer is in the church. I don't care what you're going through. You don't wait till it get bad for you and say, I don't believe in God. I don't care what you're going through. God is real. God is real. And when you know that, brothers and sisters, when you know that God is real, then you're able to see him with your spiritual eyes and see him with your spiritual ears and realize that whatever you're going through, that is God that brings you through it. God does that. This is the kind of God that we serve. Shout out to Black Utopia. Greetings of peace and love. And we have to understand it. Our problem is that we don't understand what God is doing. And we don't understand what God is doing because we're listening to these devils. Yeah, we're listening to these devils. You know who the devil is. I don't have to say it. You already know. You know who he is and you know what he is. And they creep into our community, copy us, copy our way, copy our intelligence, copy our survival skill. They can't survive without you. There shouldn't be a poor white person in America. Shouldn't be. Slavery is such a prosperous system. And I said slavery because you're not still in slavery. We are still in slavery. If you think that you're a black Democrat or a black Republican, brothers and sisters, I got news for you today. You may be among the white Democrats. You may be among the white Republicans, but you're not a black Republican or a black Democrat. I got sense enough to know that I'm not Democrat or Republican or third party. Now, the black people can create our own party, which would be a religious party. The Black Coffee Party is a real party. See? It used to be the Freedom Now Party that our sister, Coretta King, and Albert Cleage ran these parties. They ran these parties. The Black Labor Reform. These are parties. But you're not a Democrat or a Republican while you're out of your mind. You're not a Democrat or a Republican. You got to wake up, brothers and sisters. They killed Dr. King because he wouldn't go along with the status quo. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. I don't know if Donald Trump's assassination was real. I imagine it was. But I'll tell you this. Whether it was real or fake, anytime you got somebody that don't go along with the status quo, then they're in a position to be killed. I'm no fan of Trump. I know he's a racist. I know it. But at least he's no hypocrite. And as I told you before, I'll eat breakfast with the Klan as long as he stay on his side and I stay on mine. Huh? But you better believe that my back is against the wall and I can see left and right. Huh? And I'm going to have some enforcement with me. Because I'll never trust any oppressor to the point where I'll let my guards down. You can't do it. And that's our problem as black people. This is what we do. This is what we do. We expect that this enemy that we've been dealing with for over 400 years, 462 years now, I believe, maybe 500 years, give or take, that this enemy that we've been dealing with the entire time, many of us let our guards down because we really, really believe what they're saying. We've been listening to it for so long that we're blinded that they're still killing us. They're still attacking us. They're still raping us. They're still misusing us. They're still putting us in prison for things we haven't done. They're still using a black woman against a black man. They're still using a black man to kill the black woman. Still using us to lie and backbite and beat, steal, maim, and all these things against one another. They're still doing it. And for some ungodly reason, you don't know that this man is still your enemy. You're running around here blind, still believing that you're free. Why, brothers and sisters, you're out of your mind. Many of them are running around here saying, I'm not African. I ain't lost nothing in Africa. Why, you lost your mind in Africa. You lost your mind in Africa. This is Africa. If you've never been to the continent at all, this is Africa. Just looking at you could tell where you come from. And that's evident in you as black people. The only people around the world that is evident in that their skin color could tell you exactly where they come from. That's a slavery. That's a shamefulness of slavery. They run around here. I'm not American. I'm not African. I'm American. Really? You're American. You may be indigenous to America. But you came from Africa. Because the American came from Africa. You're not African American, you're American African. Oh yes, you're American African. You're not African American. Can't be. You can't be. But you are an American African. Yeah, you're an African that has a lineage here, indigenous, that goes all the way back to your indigenous lineage in Africa. So we got to understand what's going on. Anytime they have a holy day of our leaders, brothers and sisters, we have to understand it. That this is a commemoration of the assassination of anyone that will stand up. Anyone that won't support the machine. Right? Because these brothers, and we're talking about Dr. King today, but we know there was others assassinated, including Robert and John Kennedy. We know that these brothers stood up. And they stood up amid fire hoses. They didn't turn around. They stood up amid gunfire. They didn't turn around. They stood up amid the Ku Klux Klan. They stood up amid burnings. They stood up amid bombings, but they wouldn't turn around, brothers and sisters. They were determined to not turn around, and they welcomed death. Our problem is that we're not willing to die. We won't stand up for anything. We won't do it. I try to get brothers and sisters, look, Come on to the meeting so we can talk. Brother, I don't want to come to your meeting because you be saying some stuff. What the hell do we have to lose today? They're killing us anyway, whether great or small. It don't matter if you're famous or non-famous. White folks are killing you, huh? And you'll get scared when I tell you to defend yourself. I'm not telling you to go out there and kill nobody. I'm just saying defend yourself. Defend yourself. Protect your family. I'm not breaking any laws. You have the right to self-defense. Not breaking any laws. Right? Second Amendment right. But the fear, you have this nation enjoys freedom and had black men fighting in wars that came back home that didn't get any respect. Now, and I want to talk to you about this for a little bit. Understand that Germany was said by America to be one of the worst atrocities of countries endorsing the Holocaust, right? Black folks went over there to fight. The Germans treated the black man real nice over there. As a matter of fact, many black people came with German wives. I'm not telling anybody black to do that. I'm making a point. Because if you black, you should have a sister on your side. Now, with that being said, if Hitler was so bad and the German was so bad, why was this allowed to happen? Black men could walk freely where they were going. If the German was so bad, why did they allow Jesse Owens to run in the track meet? No, Hitler was trying to protect Germany and make Germany a world power the same way that America is doing today. It was no different. If you got a country, you're going to fight to gain ground. What do you think wars are about? Am I making any sense, brothers and sisters? What do you think wars are about? Why do you think people go to wars? So that they can control territory. They can take over territory. It's the same in gang wars. It's the same in mafiatic wars. It's the same in any war you talk about. Even, look at this, even basketball and football. They go to different territories. They win games to claim victory for the season. Is that right or wrong? It is a war of contest and control. You got the SEC, right? You got the NFL. You got the AFL. You got the Triple XL. Come on, brothers and sisters. Because there's money and power. Some men love money and power more than they love God. They love money and power more than they love human nature. So they'll do anything to get it. Dr. King wanted all men to be free. He had no gains. The brother come from a wealthy family, so he didn't have to be out there. But he was willing to do it so that other people would be able to enjoy the kind of life that he lived and other privileged blacks among whites, down to the basic individual, no matter how poor they were. They would have a chance at a decent education, a chance to ride the bus, city bus, just basic rights, a chance to have running toilets with septic tanks or city division toiletry. Black folks didn't have that. Black folks in the 40s and 50s were living like animals. And if you couldn't afford to set down your own septic line, if you didn't have well water, you was carrying water. There were some black people that were living in the 50s, the same as blacks were living in slavery and post-slavery. But understand that when he stood up against the Vietnam War, I was looking at our sister Semekia. I see this sister is a historian too. Chief Crystal Katawani. She said it correct. When he spoke against the Vietnam War, He said, you're not giving us rights here. You're not giving us any rights. So why should I support our brothers and sisters going over there? Same thing with Muhammad Ali. They took his belt because he says, I'm not going to support the war in Vietnam. Why? Because that's oppression of other brown-skinned people. So the same thing that America accused Adolf Hitler of doing, they were doing it too. Every country is doing it. Somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do it. But if the black man is going to get in that war, if the black man is going to be here, give him the same rights. When I say black men, I mean women too. Give him the same rights that American citizens have. But first, he's got to be a citizen of America. You're not a citizen of America. You're not a citizen. It's been amended for you to have citizenship. That's no different than a green card. The only difference is because you were in slavery, you don't have a country to go back to. Because he don't know where you come from, neither do you. You know that you come from a continent, which is Africa, the continent. But what country on that continent do you come from? What is your name? What is your language? What is your tribe? What is the significance of your family amid that tribe? What is your family known for in that community? What is your language? What is your dialect? You don't know it. You don't know it. They lumped you all into one pot, shook it up, and said, we're going to use them for our purposes. And they had slaves that understood science to train you to be able to do that. So brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for crossing over into this next day. You know how I do it. I like to come and get those that are awake. I'd rather go face the world with 10 people than to be unsuccessful in the plight of millions. We need God as we stand to rebuild the black community. We need God. All the tokens, the coons, and the sellouts are dying now. They're dying. Somebody said they're trying to kill Farrakhan. Farrakhan is an old man. If they wanted to kill him, they would have been killed him. And anybody that's alive is working with the system to keep black folks oppressed. If they wanted to kill him, they would have been killed him. Come on, brothers and sisters. Wake up. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is not teaching Dianetics. He's never taught Dianetics. He's never used anything that L. Ron Hubbard has used. I'm just asking you to open your eyes. I'm not picking with anyone. Because you got to live this life. You got to live this life. Whoever your leader is, when they transmitted the glory, you got to have something. And I pray, and my desire and my prayer is that that leader has taught you enough. That leader has taught you enough that you will stand with dignity against evil. Whoever the leader is, I believe God called men and women to lead. But there's a right way to lead. And there's a right way to be. And there's a righteous standard to have in that time of leadership, in that time of need, in that dispensation of your service. There's a right spirit to have. Just be in the spirit of God and get on God's side. And brothers and sisters, if you get on God's side, I'm a living witness that he'll be on your side. Brothers and sisters, thank you for tarrying with me in this hour. I really appreciate you. May God be with you. May God keep you all the days of your life. And may you be in the service of God. And may he allow you to prosper as your soul prosper. I say unto you, if I didn't say it in the beginning, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. And I say that in all love and understanding. the peace that only God can give. Peace be unto you.